You've been told you're not the smartest person in the room. Maybe a teacher said it. Maybe a test confirmed it. Maybe you just felt it, sitting quietly while others talked loudly and confidently, wondering if something was missing in you. But what if the problem was never your intelligence? What if the problem was that nobody, including you, knew where to look? Intelligence isn't one thing. Psychology has been proving this for decades, and yet most of us are still measuring ourselves against a system designed to recognize only one very narrow type of mind: IQ tests, school grades, how fast you can recall a fact. But the human brain is far more complex than any standardized test can capture. And the most dangerous kind of intelligence is the kind that hides in plain sight, even from the person who has it. So let's talk about 7 signs that you are far more intelligent than you've ever been given credit for. The first sign is that you overthink everything, and you've spent your whole life being told that's a flaw. People call you anxious. They tell you to just relax or stop making things so complicated. But here's what psychology actually says. Chronic deep thinking is a direct marker of a highly active prefrontal cortex. Your brain is constantly running simulations, testing outcomes, analyzing risk before it arrives. That's not weakness. That's strategic processing. Worrying without purpose is anxiety, but thinking deeply about consequences, people, and possibilities before acting, that's a cognitive advantage most people simply don't have. The second sign is that you feel other people's emotions almost as strongly. You walk into a room and immediately pick up on tension nobody else noticed. You can tell when someone is lying not because of one big signal, but because of 100 tiny ones. A shift in tone, a micro-expression, a slight hesitation before an answer. Psychologists call this high emotional intelligence, and research published in journals like Emotion consistently links it to superior social cognition, better decision-making under pressure, and stronger long-term relationships. The fact that you feel too much doesn't mean you're fragile. It means your brain is processing social data at a level most people can't access. The third sign is that you lose track of time when you're doing something you love. Hours disappear. You forget to eat. The world goes quiet. Psychologist Millie Csikszentmihalyi spent decades studying this phenomenon and called it flow, a mental state that only occurs when your skill level is perfectly matched to a complex challenge. You can't force flow. You can't fake it. It only happens in minds built for deep engagement. And the fact that you experience it at all means your brain is capable of a level of focus complexity that average cognitive processing simply cannot. Sustained. The fourth sign is that you are intensely curious about things that have no practical value. You go down rabbit holes at midnight about ancient civilizations, the mathematics of music, the psychology of cults, the biology of trees communicating underground. You ask why long after everyone else has accepted because research from the University of California found that curiosity activates the brain's dopamine pathways in the same way that solving a difficult problem does. In other words, your brain is literally rewarding itself for seeking knowledge. That's not distraction. That's a mind that is neurologically wired to learn, and learning, at its core, is what intelligence is. The fifth sign is that you are deeply uncomfortable with things left unexplained. Ambiguity bothers you in a way it doesn't seem to bother others. You need to understand the why behind the what. This is called intolerance of ambiguity in psychology, and while it can feel like a burden, it is directly associated with higher-order thinking. Your brain refuses to accept surface-level answers because it instinctively knows that surface-level answers are almost never the whole truth. You're not being difficult. Your mind is holding itself to a standard of understanding that most people never reach for. The sixth sign is that you talk to yourself, either out loud or in your head, constantly. You narrate situations. You replay conversations. You argue both sides of your own opinions. Psychologists have found that inner speech and self-directed dialogue are strongly linked to working memory, self-regulation, and complex problem-solving. When you talk yourself through something, you are not being strange. You are using one of the most sophisticated cognitive tools the human brain has ever developed. Children who develop strong inner speech early consistently outperform their peers in academic and social settings. If you never stop doing it, that says something important about how your mind is still working. The seventh sign, and this one matters more than most people realize, is that you doubt your own intelligence. Constantly, you second-guess yourself. You wonder if you actually know what you think you know. You feel like a fraud even when you succeed. Psychologists call this the Dunning-Kruger effect in reverse, the phenomenon where genuinely intelligent people consistently underestimate their own abilities because they are aware enough to recognize how much they don't know. The person who knows everything has stopped learning. The person who questions everything has not. Self-doubt, when it comes from a place of genuine intellectual humility rather than fear, is one of the clearest indicators of a mind that is still growing, still reaching, still refusing to settle out. For easy answers, here's what all 7 of these signs have in common. None of them look impressive in a classroom. None of them show up easily on a resume. None of them make you the loudest voice in the room. But psychology, neuroscience, and decades of human research all point to the same conclusion. The most powerful minds are often the quietest ones, the ones watching instead of performing, the ones feeling instead of pretending, the ones questioning instead of accepting. You were never the problem. The measuring stick was intelligence was always there. It was just hiding somewhere nobody thought to look until now.